Hi there, Kenzo. Your question is actually a really fantastic one as far as what impediments exist in the real world outside of the team that we talked about in the chapter. And I was thinking a lot about that. I think there are so many more, but the ones that come to mind for me, and granted, you should probably take this with a grain of salt because I, of course, am not working in the schools currently. But from listening and trying to glean from all of you in our cohort what impediments you all see working in school environments, it seems to me that forming similar teams in LA schools might run into three particular impediments that would need to be addressed meaningfully in order to move forward with success. One would be a kind of, as we've talked about in Carrie's class, a kind of selection bias, meaning that the teachers who might stand to benefit the most from that kind of collaboration, who might be feeling isolated from the school culture, or who might otherwise be feeling discouraged or burnt out in the teaching profession and might be reinvigorated by doing this sort of work, by being a part of something that improves the whole school, they may choose to opt out of something like this for various reasons. Because after all, the CEC was something that the teachers chose to participate in. They were ultimately chosen by the team as well, but they were not asked to do so. I believe that, from what I understand of the chapter, the teachers actually chose to apply for the process. So there's already a kind of almost preaching to the choir quality to that. Secondly, so there's selection bias, and secondly, I would think there might be, luckily in the chapter there was an ability to reach consensus, for example, on the varying agendas that the researchers had versus the teachers or the school leaders, but they were able to reach consensus on what they were investigating being of value to the school in general. But I wonder if there might be some schools where the agendas would vary so widely, or where there might already be enough tension in the school at large for that very reason, that there's not a consensus about what the goals of the school should be, that the team that might form would find that there is an inability to keep that momentum going if they reach a stalemate about whether or not they agree on what the purpose of the team should even be and what they should be investigating. So selection bias and an inability to reach consensus to keep the momentum going. And then lastly, I think the third thing, as is true in so many LA schools and so many LA environments regarding education, there might be a matter of resource disparity, meaning that if the teams are strongest when there's a partnership with universities, granted there are plenty of graduate students, but I just wonder whether or not there would be, without a principal that is wholeheartedly open to this and pursues the matter with universities to build these kinds of partnerships, I wonder if there would be some schools that again would be almost experiencing an unfair advantage or disadvantage as far as having access to these kinds of teams forming. I wonder if you would agree with that though, Kenzo. You've been working in the schools far longer than me. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and obviously other members of the cohort as well. Thank you, everyone, and thank you especially to you, Kenzo.